This single bed exercise strengthens your glutes faster than walking and squatting. While most people over 60 treat glute strengthening as something purely aesthetic, there is a condition called dormant glute syndrome. Basically, the glutes, the largest muscle in the body, stop contracting properly after years of sitting, leaving the spine and knees absorbing impacts they were never designed to handle. This causes pain, instability, and increases the risk of falls. And the few who understand that this is actually a health issue usually run into a lack of information about exercises, or worse, the reluctance to get started. That is why today you will see a single exercise performed while still lying in bed before even getting up that strengthens your glutes faster than walking or squatting. No gym and no excuses. Stay tuned until the end because we will also show you other glute exercises that can be done in bed and are very effective at strengthening this incredibly important muscle group. Before we begin, please leave a comment below with your name and the city you are watching from. We would love to know. Exercise number 1, side leg raise. This is the exercise that opens the list, and not by chance. It directly targets the gluteus medius, the muscle responsible for keeping your hip stable with every step you take. Unlike the gluteus maximus, which most people are familiar with, the gluteus medius rarely gets any attention. And it is precisely that neglect that creates the conditions for the dormant glute syndrome we just mentioned. A survey in the field of geriatric physical therapy observed that older adults with greater hip abductor strength, exactly the muscle group activated by the side leg raise, showed a lower risk of falls compared to those with weaker muscles in that area. This happens because the gluteus medius acts as a lateral stabilizer of the pelvis, preventing the hip from dropping to the side every time you shift your weight onto one leg, whether climbing stairs or simply walking around the house. To perform it correctly, lie on your side on a firm surface, rest your head on your bent arm or on a pillow, and keep your bottom leg slightly bent to give your body stability. Your top leg should remain extended and aligned with your torso. From this position, lift your top leg toward the ceiling, controlling the movement both on the way up and on the way down without letting your hip rotate forward or backward. An extra tip that makes a real difference is to imagine you are pushing your heel away from your body as you lift, rather than simply raising your leg. This increases muscle recruitment in the gluteus medius and reduces compensation from other muscles, such as the quadriceps. Breathe naturally throughout the entire movement, avoiding holding your breath at the top of the lift, as this unnecessarily increases intra-abdominal pressure without providing any additional benefit for gluteus medius activation. The most common mistake here is using momentum, swinging the leg up quickly instead of controlling the movement. When that happens, the gluteus medius essentially stops working, and the lower back takes over, rotating along with the hip. Another frequent mistake is letting the top leg rotate forward, which turns the exercise into a simple hip flexion and removes the focus from the glute. To start, perform 2 to 3 sets of 10 to 15 repetitions on each side, always prioritizing movement quality over speed. As you feel more control, increase from 10 to 15 repetitions before progressing to a light resistance band placed just above your knees. This exercise is safe for the vast majority of people, but those with acute trochanteric bursitis, meaning inflammation on the outer side of the hip, should avoid performing it until the pain subsides, as the movement can increase friction in that area. You will know you are doing it correctly when you feel the burning sensation on the outer side of your hip, not at the front of your thigh. If the sensation is concentrated in your quadriceps, it is a sign that the hip is compensating instead of the gluteus medius taking over the work, and it is worth reducing the range of motion to regain control. Exercise number 2, glute bridge. If the side leg raise takes care of the gluteus medius, the glute bridge is the star when the focus is on the gluteus maximus, the largest muscle in the human body. Yes, you read that correctly, and the vast majority of people do not realize we are talking about the largest isolated muscle in the entire body, much larger than the quadriceps or the chest. Strengthening this muscle goes far beyond aesthetics. The gluteus maximus is the primary muscle responsible for hip extension, meaning bringing the thigh backward in relation to the torso, a movement present in activities as simple as standing up from a chair or climbing a step. When it is weak, the body compensates by overloading the lower back and the hamstrings, and that is precisely where many chronic lower back pain conditions begin. In addition, a well-developed gluteus maximus increases caloric expenditure even after the workout. Thanks to the excess post-exercise oxygen consumption effect, the extra oxygen the body continues to use after working large muscle groups. To perform the glute bridge, lie on your back, bend your knees, and place your feet flat on the floor at hip width, close enough that your fingertips nearly reach your heels. Push your hips upward while strongly contracting your glutes at the top of the movement, forming a straight line between your shoulders, hips, and knees. Lower yourself in a controlled manner until you nearly touch the floor again without losing muscle tension. The tip that produces the most results here is to pause for 1 to 2 seconds at the top of the movement, squeezing your glutes as if you were holding something between them. This simple detail significantly increases time under tension and muscle activation. Also, keep your core lightly engaged throughout the entire movement. This protects your lower back and ensures that your hips rise through glute strength, not through an impulse from your lower back. A mistake I see many people make is hyperextending the lower back at the top of the movement, raising the hips beyond what is needed and arching the back. This removes tension from the glutes and overloads the spine. Another common mistake is placing the feet too far from the body, which transfers much of the work to the hamstrings. Start with 2 to 3 sets of 12 to 15 repetitions, always maintaining a controlled pace. As the exercise becomes easier, progress by increasing the pause at the top from 1 to 3 seconds, or increase repetitions from 12 to 20 before considering adding resistance. People with an acute lumbar disc herniation or intense lower back pain during the movement should use caution and, ideally, seek professional guidance before including this exercise in their routine. Adjusting the range of motion according to their comfort level. If even with these guidelines the lower back continues to be more engaged than the glutes, a simple alternative is to reduce the range of motion, raising the hips only to the point where you can maintain glute contraction without compensating with the spine. Movement quality is worth more than maximum range of motion. Exercise number 3, frog pump. The name might sound funny, and I will admit that the first time I heard about the frog pump, I also found it strange. But the results this exercise delivers for the glutes are anything but a joke. It is essentially a variation of the glute bridge, but with a leg positioning that increases activation of the upper and outer portion of the gluteus maximus. To perform it, lie on your back, press the soles of your feet together, and let your knees fall open to the sides as if you were imitating the posture of a frog. From this position, lift your hips toward the ceiling while contracting your glutes, then lower in a controlled manner without letting your knees close during the movement. Unlike the traditional bridge, the frog pump is usually performed with faster and shorter repetitions, in small pulses at the top of the movement, which significantly increases time under tension and the muscular burn in the glute region. An important extra tip is to actively keep your knees open throughout the entire movement, rather than simply letting them fall open by gravity. This also recruits the external hip rotators, complementing the work of the gluteus maximus. Keep your core lightly activated during the pulses. This prevents your lower back from arching excessively as fatigue builds throughout the set, especially in the final repetitions, when the tendency to compensate is greatest. The most common mistake is letting the knees close as the hips rise, which drastically reduces muscle activation in the area this exercise is meant to target. Another frequent mistake is lifting the hips too high, eliminating the constant tension that is precisely what makes the frog pump unique. I recommend starting with 2 sets of 20 pulses, followed by a short rest, and progressing by increasing from 20 to 30 pulses per set as your muscular endurance improves. This exercise should be avoided by people with active pain or injury in the groin or adductor region, since the leg position requires a degree of hip opening that may be uncomfortable in those cases. If the full knee opening causes hip discomfort, a simple alternative is to reduce the angle of opening, bringing the knees slightly closer together, maintaining only the range that feels comfortable while hip mobility gradually improves. Exercise number 4, Figure 4 stretch. After 3 activation exercises, it is time to include an essential stretch for anyone who spends a lot of time sitting. The Figure 4 stretch gets its name because the position of the legs during the movement visually resembles the number 4. This stretch acts primarily on the piriformis and the deep hip rotators, a region closely connected to the gluteus maximus and frequently tight in people who spend most of their day sitting. When this muscle group becomes tense, it can even compress the sciatic nerve, causing that radiating pain that travels down the leg. To perform it, lie on your back, with your knees bent and your feet flat on the floor. Cross the ankle of one leg over the opposite knee, forming the shape of the number 4. Then, interlace your hands behind the thigh of the leg that remained on the floor and gently pull it toward your chest, feeling the stretch in the glute and hip of the crossed leg. The extra tip here is to keep the foot of the crossed leg slightly flexed, avoiding pointing your toes, which helps protect the knee during the stretch and keeps the hip more stable. During the stretch, exhale slowly as you bring your leg closer to your chest. Since the exhale helps the nervous system relax the muscles and allows you to gain a few extra inches of range without any additional effort. A common mistake is pulling the leg with too much force right from the start, creating discomfort instead of a gradual stretch. Remember that the stretch should be breathed and progressive, never forced abruptly. Hold the position for 30 seconds on each side, breathing calmly throughout. As your flexibility improves, increase the hold time from 30 to 45 seconds per side. People with a recent hip replacement or acute knee injuries should avoid this stretch or perform it with a significantly reduced range of motion, always respecting the limits indicated by a healthcare professional. Exercise number 5, clamshell. Just like the side leg raise, the clamshell is another exercise targeting the gluteus medius, but with a different working angle that is well worth including in your routine, as it activates muscle fibers at different degrees of hip flexion. What many people do not know is that men tend to neglect this type of exercise quite a lot, associating glute training exclusively with a feminine aesthetic goal. This is a mistake, because a weak gluteus medius in men is directly linked to compensations in the knee and lower back during running and squatting, reducing performance and increasing the risk of injury. The glutes also play a direct role in stabilizing the pelvis, preventing much of the everyday lower back pain people experience. To perform the clamshell, lie on your side with your knees bent at an angle of approximately 45 degrees, keeping your feet pressed together. From this position, open your top knee as if you were opening a clamshell, without letting your hip roll backward during the movement. Close your knee in a controlled manner, returning to the starting position. A valuable extra tip is to place your free hand lightly on your top hip, which helps you notice and prevent any unwanted rotation of the pelvis during the movement. The most common mistake in this exercise is letting the entire torso roll backward to help open the knee wider, which actually removes nearly all the tension from the gluteus medius and transfers the effort to the lower back. Another common mistake is performing the movement too quickly, losing control during the eccentric phase on the way down. Another detail that makes a difference is keeping your feet in contact with each other at all times during the movement, since separating them reduces the demand on the gluteus medius and makes the movement too easy. Perform 2 to 3 sets of 12 to 15 repetitions on each side. As the exercise becomes easier, progress by increasing repetitions from 12 to 20, or add a light resistance band around your knees to increase the resistance. This exercise is generally well tolerated, but people with acute pain in the hip joint should reduce the range of motion or avoid the movement until their condition improves, especially if there is a diagnosis of femoroacetabular impingement. When you include the clamshell in your routine consistently, the benefit shows up not only in hip strength, proprioception, meaning your body's awareness of its position in space, also improves. And this translates into more stable steps and less of a sensation of instability when walking on uneven surfaces. Exercise number 6, pigeon pose. Pigeon pose is a classic yoga stretch, and despite its curious name, its function goes far beyond any association with rest. It is one of the most effective ways to release accumulated tension in the deep hip rotators and glute region. A survey in the field of sports physical therapy observed that practitioners who regularly included hip opening stretches, such as pigeon pose, in their routine reported a noticeable reduction in lumbar tension and greater hip range of motion after several weeks of consistent practice. To perform it, start in a tabletop position on all fours, with your hands and knees on a mat or surface with good grip. Bring one knee forward, positioning it near the wrist on the same side, with your shin angled slightly toward the opposite side of your body. Extend your back leg fully behind you, keeping your hips as aligned and level as possible. If you feel stable, slowly lower your torso forward, resting your forearms on the floor. The most important extra tip here is to keep the hip of your back leg always facing forward, preventing it from opening out to the side, which reduces the effective stretch in the glute region. If you feel discomfort in the front hip, place a firm cushion under that glute. This reduces pressure on the joint without compromising the stretch of the deep rotators. A common mistake is forcing the shin into a very closed angle right from the start, which can cause excessive discomfort in the front knee. Remember that the intensity of the stretch should come from the forward lean of the torso, not from a forced position of the leg. Hold the position for 30 to 45 seconds on each side, breathing deeply throughout. As your mobility improves, increase the hold time from 30 to 60 seconds per side. People with acute knee injuries, advanced hip arthritis, or recent surgery in the pelvic region should avoid this pose or replace it with a gentler version, such as the figure 4 stretch presented earlier. Exercise number 7, happy baby pose. Closing our list, we have happy baby pose, another yoga classic that gets its name because it resembles the natural position babies assume when playing while lying down, holding their own feet up in the air. Despite the playful name, this pose is extremely effective at simultaneously stretching the glutes, hamstrings, and inner groin area, while also promoting gentle lower back relaxation, since the position completely removes the weight from the spine. To perform it, lie on your back and bring your knees toward your chest, drawing them close to your armpits. Hold the outer edges of your feet with your hands, keeping your ankles directly above your knees, forming a 90-degree angle between your thighs and shins. From this position, gently pull your knees down toward the floor on either side of your torso, feeling the stretch in your glutes and groin. The beauty of this pose lies in its ability to combine stretching with relaxation, making it an excellent way to close any glute exercise routine, including the one you have just learned here. If you cannot comfortably reach your feet, hold the backs of your thighs near your knees, maintaining the same mechanics of the movement without forcing your shoulder flexibility. An extra tip is to gently rock your body from side to side while holding the position, which helps loosen the lower back slightly and increases the sensation of muscular relaxation. The most common mistake is trying to pull your knees to the floor with force, ignoring the natural flexibility limits of your own body. This pose should be comfortable, never painful. Hold the position for 30 to 60 seconds, breathing slowly and deeply. If you prefer, you can alternate by gently pulling one foot at a time in a soft pedaling motion for about 30 seconds before holding the static position. People with an inguinal hernia, those in the late stages of pregnancy, or individuals with uncontrolled high blood pressure should avoid holding this position for extended periods, as elevating the legs above the hips may not be recommended in those specific cases. Regular practitioners can notice a difference in how light their lower back feels within the first few weeks, as this pose is one of the few that works both stretching and relaxation at the same time, without requiring any muscular effort. Now that you have learned these 7 powerful exercises to strengthen your glutes, it is time to put them into practice. If you enjoyed this and would also like to see some isometric exercises capable of turning ordinary people into strength machines on par with the best military soldiers, we have a video appearing on your screen right now showing each one of them in detail. I never see anyone talking about this, so make sure you check it out. Thank you for watching all the way through, and may God bless you, my friend.